Hey everybody, in this video we're going to take a look at the Transpose tools, the Move brush, and a few more other options that should help us with the introduction to ZBrush. So here we go, again a new document. Again, just like with the previous one, I press the comma to get rid of that light box. I go over to Preferences, initialize ZBrush, and then into Documents I go over and decrease the range to 0. This way I have a clean background on which I can work. Alright, so since I need something to work on, I'm gonna go over in my tool and choose something to start with. Again, let's start with a sphere. Just like in the previous videos, I drag it out, press T to enter edit mode, or just click here. And as soon as we're done, we go and transfer this into a base Polymesh. Now, before we do this, I want to show you something, or a certain option or parameters that all of the tools that come with Max have it, with ZBrush have it before we make it a Polymesh. Now, these tools come in the form of initialize. So this field over here, or initialize, is more or less like the modify panel you would have when you are in Max. What this means is that while you're here, you can actually change what kind of geometry you're seeing here, or what kind of details you're seeing. For example, the H divide and the V divide are actually telling you how many of these divisions you're going to have. For example, if we have 128, if we increase this, you see we have a lot more polygons. If we decrease it, you can see the sides are getting smaller. And if we just click, we can choose to have, let's say, 32 sided. And on the V divide, I can either get this higher or lower. So as you can see, we have more control over what kind of geometry we want. And this is for the sphere. For example, if I go ahead and instead of a sphere, I choose a cube, you can see that I have different options over here. I can choose those divides. I have the twist, which can help me get something like this. And as you can see, this is right away, it's starting to look like the hose geometry that you have in Max. So all of these options are really good to know and to use, because it can really help you get some more intricate designs right off the bat. And you'll notice that if you choose to go with some of the more complex shapes over here, you're going to have even more options. For example, the gear 3D, if you open this one, then you have a lot more options on the side here. So you can choose to have the width, you can choose to have the radius, the inner one, how thick you want it. You can change the skew, how skewed it is. You can have the tilt, and you're getting the idea. You can have a lot of different variation to your tools right off the bat. Like for example, you get something like this by just changing a few parameters. Now I just wanted to mention the initialize, because from all of the videos I've seen online, a lot of the people that are explaining stuff, they tend to skip the initialize, which I think is an amazing addition to what you can do in ZBrush just right off the bat. For now, I'm going to stick with my sphere. All right, here we go, something like this. And all right, since I want to start doing some sculpting on it, I'm going to go and press on the Make Polymesh 3D. Now just notice that as soon as I make it a Polymesh 3D, my initialize changes. So it's no longer like it used to be. We have different options here, but those are for a different video. So for now, I want to go ahead and choose one of the most used brushes, if not the most used brush, and that is the Move brush. So I'm going to go press B, M for Move, so M the first, and then we just look for the move brush. We can see it here, and the hotkey for it is V. So BMV will open up your Move brush. Now like I told you in the previous video, if you want to work with the symmetry, all you have to do is press the X. So X turns on symmetry. Now, another thing is the size of the brush. If I want to have a bigger size brush, I can go over here and increase this draw size. And you can see that my circle in which I'm going to have the effect grows bigger. But I can increase this or decrease by just pressing the bracket keys next to my enter, or I can press the space bar anywhere on the side, and from here I can just increase or decrease the draw size. And here we go, we have something like this. All right, so once we have this, now the way that the move brush works is basically just like the name implies. It's moving geometry. And the great thing about this brush is that you can choose to have a bigger area of effect. And once you start pulling, since I have my symmetry turned on, I can see that everything I'm doing on one side is being transferred on the other one. And this is great when you want to like get an idea of what you're doing quite fast without having to go into too much detail. And the great thing about this is when especially when you're concepting, you can try a lot of ideas until you find something that works. And as you can see it, I'm starting to get some shape here, and I really have no idea where I'm going with this as of now, but just move it around until you get something that you might like. So let's see, let's try to get some kind of an alien shape creature. All right, something like this should work as a base. So with this in mind, we can see how this is starting to shape up, and we're moving it around. And like we said, it's a great thing when you are in the phase of concepting. But now we're gonna come to a certain problem, especially when we get near the top and the bottom. Because we started off from an actual sphere, the caps are not gonna be squares, or they're not gonna be quads. So how do we fix this? And more notably, how do we fix something like, let's say we pull it from here and go downwards? We are going to be dealing with a problem where some of your polygons are going to get real stretched. For example, let's try something like this. We get some girth here for, let's say this is the neck. We're starting to get some really bad tearing here. So some of the polygons are really getting stretched. Well, ZBrush has a really great way of dealing with this. And the way to fix this is by using something called, we go over here, something called Dynamesh. So you go over to your geometry rollout. Now disregard all of the other options here. For now, we don't need them. We only need this option, Dynamesh. So we're gonna click here. It's gonna open up some of my options over here. So right now, I only want to look at this slider and this button over here. Now, this slider is going to control the resolution of the mesh. So for now, I'm gonna try to keep it relatively low to something like 64. And I'm gonna press Dynamesh. Now, see what happens as soon as I do this. I'm going to press Dynamesh, and you can see that my entire mesh has been changed. It's been made into more geometry. Now, I'm going to press Ctrl Z to back up once. I'm going to get this resolution even lower. So let's go 32. And one other thing is I want to press this project button. What this project does is it's basically taking all the geometry we have here and it's trying to project it on the new mesh. Since I don't want to have all this jaggedness, I'm going to click off Project, and with a resolution of 32, I'm going to click on Dynamesh. And this is what we get. We get something really resembling clay. So now, when I go with the smooth brush by holding down Shift, I'm going to click on my Z intensity and just lower it down to like 20 or so. And now, when I go with the smooth, I get something like this. I no longer have those elongated polygons, but I have a nice, smooth looking mesh. And now, again, if I go BMV, I can start pulling stuff, pulling it inwards, outwards, until I get something that I like. But the thing with working with ZBrush is that most of the time you really don't know what you're doing until you get deeper, and then you get some ideas and start sculpting. So that's for the Dynamesh. It takes our geometry and it makes it so that it has the same kind of geometry all over. So we don't get, so that way we fix all of those elongated polygons. Now, if we want to get a bit more geometry out of this, let's say we have some shoulders here. Again, I'm going to go with the move. I can pull backwards like this. Again, I end up with a lot of tearing like this. But now, if I want to get more Dynamesh or apply the Dynamesh over here, I don't have to click here again. What I have to do is go here or anywhere but not on the mesh, hold down Control and just click and drag once. And that is going to reapply the Dynamesh to our model. As we can see, again, we have geometry that we can pull, and more or less it all kind of resembles like playing with clay. All you have to do is just mold it so you get something that is going to be to your liking. Again, let's go something like this. If we run out of geometry, all we have to do is hold down Control, pull, and here we go. We have more geometry to play with. So this is our Dynamesh. Now, for example, if we want to, let's say here, I want to get a few horns or something like that, protruding outwards. How would I go about taking a certain geometry and making it go upwards? Well, for this, ZBrush has an option called masking. Masking is an amazing option that helps you have total control over what area of the model you want to work on. For example, like we said, if we want to have something coming out from here, I'm going to hold down Control. And as soon as I hold down Control, you're going to see that my cursor changes and it's with yellow circles, and it says Mask Plus. If I hold down the Control and start clicking, you're going to notice that a portion of my mesh is starting to turn black. All right. This means that now this portion over here has been masked off. Now, since I want to invert this, I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to click on anywhere outside of the mesh, and that is going to invert my mask. Now, so what I have here is I've basically told ZBrush that I don't want to change anything that's masked, and I only want to work on what I'm seeing here. So for example, if I go BMV for the move brush, I can click and drag outwards. And now you're seeing this effect. We have something looking like really large horns. But for this, I'm going to hold down Control and Z and get back, because there's another way I want to show you that you can use it to move stuff around in ZBrush. And that's with our move option over here. We have the scale and rotate. Now, these work a bit different. For example, as soon as I press the move, you're going to get to see this line that kind of follows wherever you go. For example, if I click here, and now when I move it like this, you're going to notice this line is following my cursor. So I'm going to set one over here. So exactly at 90 degrees. Just in case I want to, you guys can get it to have it at 100 degrees, 90 degrees. Click, hold down Shift, and now you can pull it at a straight line. All right, so this is the transpose line. What it does, it's basically putting up 3 dots over here, and as it is right now, we have it on move. So what this means is that if I click on the middle and pull upwards, this is just like working with the move tool. It's going to do the same thing. So if I want to have those horns still about here, I can click it off. The great thing about this transpose tool is that you can put it wherever you want it. For example, if I click here and just pull it outwards, now I can move it like this. But I'm gonna try my best to cover more about the transpose lines and the transpose scale and rotate in future videos and really explain it more. For now, I just want to mention it that you have different ways of moving stuff, so it's not always just the move tool. So you can always use the transpose line or the scale or the rotate. The same thing works here. So I can, if I go with scale, now I click on the side, you're gonna notice that this changes. If I move it on the middle, you can see. If I rotate it, then we have something like this. Again, different results. All right, so I'm gonna go back to draw, and now I want to clear up my mask. The way to do it is, again, hold down Control and do it like this. Now, since we already have the Dynamesh active, if I hold down Control one more time and I have nothing masked off and I just click and drag, I'm gonna re-Dynamesh this part again. And here we go, we have some kind of a creature which has broken off horns. Well, now actually he looks like Hellboy. All right, so we saw that when we are using masking, we can basically define which part of the mesh we want to work with and how to let's say if we want to get some of the mesh changed and disregard the rest, or not change the rest. For example, let's say we want to flatten out this middle part, but don't touch these horns. In that case, I'm gonna mask up the horns, and I'm gonna mask around that middle part. And now I'm gonna hold down Shift to smooth. I'm gonna go all over the entire thing. And you're gonna notice that the only thing getting smooth is the thing that's not masked off. Everything that's masked has no smoothing applied to it because it has been masked. So again, hold down Control and release the mask. And there we go. We have something like this. So to recap what we actually showed you in this video. All right, I'm gonna go and choose one more time a sphere 3D. I'm gonna make sure that it's a Polymesh, and I'm gonna go BMV for the move. And since I want to use this as a digital clay so I can work with it, right away I'm gonna hit the Dynamesh. Just gonna decrease the resolution to something like more manageable, like 32, turn out a project, and hit Dynamesh. This is the geometry I have. Now with the move tool, I can basically push and pull to whatever form I want to get it to be. And basically you have no idea what your ideas might spawn, because, well, when you're doodling something like this, you start with nothing. When you run out of geometry, you just like re-Dynamesh, and you continue pulling stuff or pushing it until you get some idea of something that you like. Or if you see some forms starting to appear, something that you like, you can just start from there. For example, from what I'm seeing here, at least for me, this is really starting to look like some kind of a mouth of some carnivorous form. So I can re-Dynamesh one more time, and I can start building something on this. So for example, if I put on a BCB or clay buildup, I can start now putting more geometry towards it. As you can see right here, I'm sculpting. I want to get more definition in here. I can use the Damien standard, so BDS. If I want to get more defined resolution, I just need to decrease the size of my draw. So again, there we go. Put in something like this. If my active points are like 16,000, if I want to get more geometry in it, I can just press the divide or subdivide or control D, and I'm going to triangulate, or not triangulate, but get more geometry over here. So again, you can just, with more geometry, I have more to work with. I can give it more details. There you go, something like this. Now, what kind of a carnivorous thing would it be if it had no pointy teeth? For pointy teeth, I'm going to use a mask off this thing over here. Control click on the empty to invert the actual mask. BMV to move. Make sure I have a bigger draw size, and just draw out something like this. Or actually, while we are at it, when we want to add something like teeth or something sharp, we have another certain brush called snake hook. So it's over here, and what it does, it's going to take my geometry and basically sharpen it up like this. So again, re-Dynamesh one more time. We get some, oops. All right. When we use that snake hook, let's get it to so it's outwards a bit like this. Again. All right. Dynamesh, we get back. And as you can see, we started off from a simple sphere, and with the move tool and the Dynamesh, we are starting to get something happening here. Now, since these are thin, I can smooth it out until I get something that I like. All right, so that would be it in short. I'm gonna try my best to get more videos out this week, and hopefully those next videos are gonna have a bit more composure to them instead of me just like going and rambling around the basics. I'm gonna try my best to explain how stuff works on actual models, and that way hopefully it's going to be more interesting for you guys to follow, and you might even decide to take up ZBrush. So if you guys really enjoyed watching this video, then don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, as it really does help a lot with YouTube. And that would be it for this video. You guys take care, and I will see you all in the next video.